So this particular session, we're trying to plant new seeds. This particular session is about learning outcomes in D2L. So my name's Angelo. You might have seen me with all of the gradebook stuff going on in UDST right now. I'll be joined by my colleague Charina for this particular session. So administrative stuff first. If you haven't taken the attendance, please scan the QR code and
leave.
the mark. We can do that too. I'll give you a minute to settle that, and then we'll get going. Yeah. Sorry. No, I'm not gonna give you a note for it. It's sharing the screen. So it's recording the whole screen for. It's not recording you. It's recording the screen. Yeah. So that for documentation, we're telling you the video. This is what you follow as steps. More efficient. So it's a new software called Panopto. So if you were recording your lectures, you can turn that on and then just do your lecture. Yeah. Okay. So. We're doing D2L learning outcomes. You wanna do this first?
Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Serena from D2L. So just before we start the session,
There's another mic over here.
Okay. So just before we start the session, so we want to actually show you this particular question because we know that when we talk about assessment, it's always linked to learning outcomes, right? So one of the questions that we want to ask ourselves would be, are the assessments that we're doing, so how are we actually using these assessments to measure what we intend our students to learn, right? So this would be like an intro part, to help us to think further. Okay, and I would like to introduce to you this framework called constructive alignment. So this was introduced by Blake and Hanks. So I'm sure you're familiar with constructive alignment. Basically, so what this means is that you would be able to see three components. Okay, so you would see the learning outcomes, and the learning outcomes linked to the assessment and teaching activities. So it means that when we design assessments, it's actually trying to address the learning outcomes, and then how are we actually preparing our students to prepare for this exam? Okay, so we designed learning activities, so they are all interconnected. Okay, so that's just like a very basic explanation on how these three are linked together. Okay, and now since we're discussing about D2L, so do you know that in D2L, so there's this feature on learning outcomes? Yes. 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 So I'll turn over to Angelo to explain more about this particular feature, how we can actually use it, as part of our assessments.
So I've been pulled into meetings, and in those meetings, they're reviewing CLO mapping documents, and so I said, that's strange. I said this particular exam is supposed to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 CLOs, and I'm going, how do you know which part does that? So they did acknowledge that the problem with lumping together CLOs is there's no granularity to it. You don't know which things contribute to what. So this particular feature helps with that. We can actually tag specific assessments to specific CLOs. So at the course level, in normal case, you probably would not have noticed D2L learning outcomes because the menu is quite hidden. So we'll show you, and hopefully at least at the end of the day, you have one more thing that you can think about if you want to use it. So at the course level, you can import that. You can import learning outcomes. So we can set that up either at the admin level, or you can type it in your own course if that hasn't been set up yet. And then you can use the outcomes to align course content. You can use that to align assessments, such as quizzes, assignments, rubrics, discussions, and portfolio. For this particular session, we're just covering quizzes and assignments. It's a lot to cover within 45 minutes. That's why. All right. So in terms of D2L learning outcomes, it helps you to align course content and assessments. It enables real-time tracking of those things. So unlike the CLO reports, which we do at the end of the term, this will actually help you to do real-time tracking of all your CLOs pegged to your assessments, pegged to the students. What it doesn't do is it doesn't replace your end-of-term CLO reports. We're working on that, but as of now, it doesn't do that yet. So we need to sort that out. Okay, so general workflow, we need to import your CLOs into your course. Okay, so if there is no CLO in your course, there is no linking anything else. So the first step is it needs to be in place. After that, then you connect the assessment to the CLOs. So that can either be your Dropbox, that can be either your quiz, that can be your discussion if you use discussion. And then we evaluate the student using that assessment. And in the end, we see the results in the gradebook, but in another tab called Master Review. Okay, so normally now you use gradebook to sort out your grades. The learning outcomes are seen via the Master Review. Okay, we'll show you that in a minute inside D2L. Okay, so this is generally what we will go through. For you to be able to use learning outcomes inside your course, first you need to import the learning outcomes, and then we connect it to your assessments, whether that's a quiz, a Dropbox, or a rubric connected to a Dropbox. We'll show you each of those things in the next few minutes. Okay, so I'll turn it over to Charina for the quiz portion first.
Can you just ask, are we all familiar on how to already create quiz in D2L? Yes?
Yes.
Yes, okay. How about the Dropbox?
Yes.
Yes? All right, that's good. Yeah, because
Okay.
just in case we have new faculty just joining UDSP and you haven't actually explored D2L, so we would suggest you just try to understand the concept, and then we'll allot another session to go through with you on how to set up all this. Right? Okay. So the first thing that we need to do is to import the course learning outcomes. And to do this, so we go to our course in this particular demonstration. So we have set up a blank course shell. Okay. And then from here, we just go to course tools and edit course. All right, so this is where we can find where the learning outcomes is actually found. Okay, and then here, when you go to assessment, you should be able to see here learning outcomes.
It's pretty hidden, so if you don't know what you're looking for, you're never gonna see this actually. Okay, so I'll click there.
All right. So the one that you can see on your screen now is that we want to be able to draw the existing learning outcomes for a particular course. So in this case here, so we are demonstrating FENG 1000, okay? But you can actually look for your course, right? So in this case here, so we just want you to show that there are two ways to do this. First is we can import directly those learning outcomes into our course. And the second one is we can add those learning outcomes manually. All right? So we do the easier one first, okay? Which is there's already an existing course. We are just drawing those ILOs, okay, or CLOs to our course. All right? So in this case, you just click on import outcomes, and we choose the first option, import from outcome set. And then from here, under the outcome set, so you will be able to actually choose the college. Okay, so we'll choose, let's say, for example, Foundation for your unit. And then from here, you will be able to find your course. Okay? So this is provided all the CLOs that you have here would be updated. Right? Yeah.
Okay.
Just a quick question. So this will, what you just did has all the CLOs for that particular course?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Like this.
Okay, so all of them, okay.
Yeah.
You have to be sure your course hasn't been revised,
Yes.
because if it's from the original, you might have different CLOs.
Right.
Okay.
So you would be able to actually so again, so the process that we just imported those learning outcomes, So straight away from like existing courses that you already have. So we chose import from outcome set. And then from there, you will be able to see the list of CLOs tagged to that course.
Here, it should be there. So you have
So when you copy the shell, like the old shell, is that gonna come with it, or you have to do this separate?
It's
every
not
time?
it's not bunked in with the shell.
Okay, so you have to, every time I can teach the course,
Yeah.
then you wanna add that feature, you have to add it manually.
If you've imported it now into your core shell, then but if you're using your core shell later on as the place where you're importing from, then it will be there next time. Okay.
So we'll close this for now.
Okay.
Okay, and we also want to mention that whenever we talk about course learning outcomes, we also have like the achievement scale. Okay, so by default, it has already the achievement scale, and you can actually like see it under the settings on the right portion of D2L. So this is default, right? So
So
here, we'll just go to settings, and then from here, so this is the default. So the passing score is 60. Okay, so of course, like for CHS colleagues, this could be different. Okay, but this is the default, which is available. If you want to create your own, you're able to do that as well. Okay, so we're just like mentioning that you have this, so that later on when you do the grading, so you would be able to actually like the basis will be this one. Okay. Okay, let's go back to the learning outcomes. Okay. So once we have imported the learning outcomes, so we would now want to align this to those quizzes that we are creating. So the first demonstration that we're going to do is how do we connect those learning outcomes to a particular quiz. Yes, Dr. J. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So for now, so we'll go to assessment and then go to quizzes. So assuming that you already have a quiz. Okay, so we already have created like 2 quizzes here. So we'll show you quiz 1. So quiz 1 would have different questions that you could see. So this one is concentrating on reading. All right. So for us to be able to tag all these questions to course learning outcome, so you just choose those questions. Okay, so let's say from 1 to 8, it would be tagged to 1 course learning outcome. Okay, and to do that, you just need to go to more actions and then click on align to outcomes. All right, and then from here, it would ask you to choose which CLO are we actually targeting for those questions. Okay, so if you have set up your quiz in such a way that it's like per unit or like unit test, it means that it's concentrated on one particular CLO. But most of the time, we are actually combining 1 or 2 CLO for a particular quiz. So what we're actually saying here is that you could choose 1 or multiple CLOs for a quiz. Okay, so let's say I'll click save now. So for 1 to 8. And for the purpose of demonstration, we'll choose for 9 and 10, so we'll choose a different CLO. So that just you can see. Okay? So let's say for 9 and 10, we are targeting CLO 5. So which would be about vocabulary.
We need to beg forgiveness. That may not exactly be the right CLO, but we need you to think about something when you're setting up the number of questions per CLO. So it's for illustration purpose, huh? Okay, so we'll do this.
Well, how does it work when we have question pool? So you guys are doing specific question. I know this question is CLO2, but if I am doing chapter 1 to chapter 6 in the quiz, and I'm having 5 questions out of 25 pool questions, those 5 questions might not be, when they come randomly, they might coming from different pools.
Okay.
Or different CLOs. In that case, I have to break it. So what are pools for my questions?
We'll need to check that, sir. This is a.
You have to link the pool before you link the quiz. Because if you have 250 questions like we have in biology, you cannot rely on this. You need to link the pool before.
We'll need to check question pools. So in general, what we're covering is general setup of quiz. We'll check the question pool through in a separate conversation. Yeah.
Correct.
So we're basically running two sets of CLOs. One is CLO1 and CLO5 in the end, yeah? CLO5, we only got two questions. So that's going to factor in, and we need you to think about that when we do the actual quiz. Okay?
So once we're done mapping, so we can now click on here. So we have to choose add to grade book and then click on save and close.
I'll just make it visible at the outside this thing.
Okay.
Did you select?
Add
Add to grade book.
Yeah.
Add to grade book, yeah. So if it's going to be a graded kind of assessment.
Yeah.
Right? So it could be graded or ungraded. So because like we want you to be able to see later on that how it actually translates to a grade book. Yeah.
Okay.
So by the way, so it could be actually applicable to both formative and summative assessments. Okay, so from here you have to make sure after you set it up, you have to make sure that it's visible. So set the visibility to on, right? So and then from here, we would impersonate a student taking this particular quiz.
So that means the student will normally take. Right now, we don't have students doing that, so we'll have to impersonate them. Yeah.
So
Do that.
So this is just like to simulate a student taking this particular quiz. Okay, so start the quiz. So this is reading. Okay, for questions 1 to 8.
I'm just gonna scroll through it. Yeah. I'm just gonna. Yes. Okay. Okay, so 9 and 10, I will intentionally make a mistake on one of them. You remember that CLO5? This is for two of them, yeah? I need to make a mistake in one of them. Okay. I'll
So
submit.
once the student already submits the quiz, so we would go back to the role of faculty or instructor role. So let's go back. All right, and then from here, we go to assessment grades. So this is where we can find the result, okay? So once you get into the grade book, so you have to go to the mastery view,
Let's just wait. Huh?
okay? So for the mastery view, since we have indicated that this quiz would measure CLO1 and CLO5, right? So you can see here, okay, that this one, the green, it's 25%, right? So then this one, so this bar, is that majority of your class have not yet
Done
done the quiz. So that's why you could see that this one is like, a small percentage. So you would be able to see here the legend, okay? So the level of the student it has started at average level, okay?
So we're at good level.
Okay.
We want to draw your attention to CLO5.
Yeah.
So there's two questions. I missed one. So the way this system works is so that we're mindful of how these things compute for the CLO scoring. Whichever number of questions you have in there is 100% of that particular CLO. So in this case, we had two questions. That means each of those questions are worth 50% for that CLO, yeah? So what we're just trying to say is if you're putting in like a tagging to a CLO and you only have one question, that's pretty dangerous for that particular assessment, yeah? We just need you to be mindful of that, yes.
Does it calculate the grade of the question? So if the question was 10 grade, and another question was 1 grade, 1 grade. And if he failed with the one, he made a mistake, and that one he got it right. Technically, he got 10 out of 12. If we're talking grade-wise. If you're talking question number-wise, he got 70% wrong. If he counting question, not grade. So how does it work? So if I have one big math problem that worth 10, and two multiple choice that worth 1.
From what we understand, sir, it's based on the percentages of each of those questions. So it's not tagged to grade per se, like number of points. It is very sensitive to the number of questions, sir, that are tagged to a particular CLO.
So that means if I'm doing the quiz And for this semester, I decided to put a writing question for, say, CLO1 and 3 multiple choice, and next semester somebody made them 4 multiple
Four.
choice and 1.
There's
Technically speaking,
there's a
my-
difference in
It will
percentages.
be a huge difference.
Yes.
The numbers will be
Yes,
getting
yes. So
impacted.
we're just saying you need to be sensitive to that when we're computing for CLOs in this particular case, the number of questions does make a difference. That's what we're saying.
Sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you please show me how to get to the mastery view?
So
From the grade book?
from assessments, ma'am,
Assessments,
grades,
grades?
and it's right beside grades.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Mr. Angela,
Yes.
a question can be connected to two CLO. Is that taking?
One question to two CLOs?
Yeah, one question can be.
You can. You can.
It's possible.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay. So you wanna continue? So we're done with this.
So this is just like the first demo on the quiz. So any questions so far with regard to the first demo? So linking it to a quiz. Yes, Mr. Wong.
Is this gonna help us, with our reviews at the end of the semester? You have to do the CLOL. Is that,
So-
we're gonna stop doing that and they're just gonna jump from here?
So what we're saying is, this thing does real-time tracking of both while you're going through and computing for CLOs while they're taking assessments. It also computes for the whole CLO setup for the entire class after the entire thing. Straight up right now, you're making us jump to the end. Okay. So let me just go through some of the reports that it'll produce. So on an individual basis, on a per student basis, you can see how they'll perform on a per CLO basis. On a per class basis, so you can see like this student is not doing so well, the first student is doing a lot better, depending on the achievement scale, yeah? On a per class basis, this is what you'd see. So they'll see the layout of all the students, and you'll get which percentage of the class scored well and which percentage of the class didn't score well.
And Mr. Anselo, at the end of the term, would it give you an overall map for all the CLO per all assessment?
This is it, sir.
So all the assessment included here.
Yes. Yeah. But
Yeah, but these are individuals. I want one number for a CLO for all assessment. One number per CLO per all assessment. Is that possible?
so that's what I'm saying. The exact report that you need for your CLO, that's not the current configuration of this thing. This is a totally separate thing. But we need you to see what else it does. So in terms of setting up the view, you can either check for everything, which is at the end of the term. You can check for most recently, meaning you can see trending up or down. You can see if they've achieved a certain level, is it the highest level or the more recent level? So you got options for that. So what we're doing, what you see here is what we get with our current package. If we shift to an upgrade, this is what you'd normally see on a per class basis. So you'd see the CLOs on the left side. You'd see your subject at the top. You can filter, and you should have a graph for each of those CLOs. I've been told that there's an export of the report as a CSV file, but I haven't received that CSV file just yet. So I want to see.
That for the CLO mapping.
I'm trying to see if I get exactly what you need, so that then
Yes,
people
please.
don't need to
That'll
do
make
it.
our lives easier.
I'm trying, ma'am.
Thank you.
We're trying.
I would just like want to clarify that this one is not yet available for us.
Mm.
No. So this is mainly to help the student, to help identify those who also identify which areas are difficult for the student.
Correct.
Improve teaching and learning.
Correct. So it's evidence, right? So like, what kind of intervention we can do based on those
Very
like
good, yeah.
evidence that we can see, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so
I was wondering, there are some assessments that we do that are written, like lab reports and certain quizzes. Is it possible if we have like just an assessment which is just checking one CLO? So we are putting in the grades and we put, okay, it's just mapped to this, all questions are mapped to this one CLO,
Yeah.
but we're manually entering the grades. Would this work? Would it
You
show
can.
you?
You do that via Dropbox. It's
I'll show
doable.
you.
So we'll show you. That's
Yeah.
the next
So
one.
that's the
Okay,
next
okay.
one. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay,
the first one that we showed you is like, tagging it to a quiz. So next is assignment.
So just going over
Okay,
the
sorry,
key
yeah,
steps.
sorry, yeah. So just to summarize, like the key steps that we have discussed just now. So we have to ensure that the CLOs are in place. So we have to import first like those CLOs into your course. Okay. Make sure that you have the quiz. Okay. The number of quiz would matter. Remember, like in terms of like the number of CLOs that you are including. So you have to assign the quiz questions to the CLOs. Then the student will take the quiz, and then from there, you will be able to see the results using the mastery view of your gradebook. Okay, so this is just to summarize what we have demonstrated just now. Okay, moving on to the next one. Talking about assignments. So we know that in D2L, so we don't call it as assignment, but it's Dropbox, right? So we would show you the process. So you have your Dropbox, similar process as what you have done like earlier. You connect the Dropbox to your CLO, you define it, and then you will be able to see the result. So there are actually like two ways to do this. So I'll show you first the basic or the easier way to do it. Okay, and then later on, Angela will show you if you do have a rubric that you're already using for such projects or assignments, you could also tag those CLOs into your rubric. Okay, so we'll do the first one.
So just an additional comment on the Dropbox. So Dropbox is not just a place for you to submit files. That can be a place for you to record things that have been submitted on paper, something that you observed in person. So there's a whole bunch of other things that are actually allowed with the Dropbox. It's not just for file submission.
okay.
Yeah. So we'll go through and see that in this example.
Okay, so we'll show you now. So let's go back to the course. So this time, let's go to assessment, Dropbox. And then from here, so we have to create like a folder. Okay, so let's just like, you want to create a folder or just
Just demo it and then we'll proceed to the writing one.
Okay, so you have to indicate like the title for this particular assignment.
For example.
Okay, so then the grade, so let's say 100%. So again, you have to indicate that it's in your grade book.
Mhm.
And then from here, so under the submission and completion, by default, it's set to file submission, right? Yeah, so this is what like Angela was actually like mentioning earlier. So it's not always that we are expecting like students to submit a particular file. So it could be something that you have observed in class, for example, presentation, right? Or let's say in the lab, right? So let's say you have like your existing paper where you actually write all those grades. So that's how you can do it. So this one is more like reading them like using like holistic kind of like rubric. So you have two rubrics, right? The holistic and the analytical. So this one is like you already have certain grade in mind on how to mark your student. Okay, and then from here, just click on save.
Hang on now.
So save and close. Make sure that it's visible to the student.
Okay, so this is one. But we'll use the writing category one. We'll use the writing category one,
Okay.
yeah. So that's how you would have set up your Dropbox. This particular one, we'll use the writing assessment though for this example, yeah. Yeah. So we'll just edit this. Okay. And this? Yeah.
Okay, so then from here, so you just have to make sure that when you create the Dropbox, so you have to click on the outcome. So this is like now how to map. Okay, so click on outcomes, and again, so similar to what we have seen earlier, so we have to choose like which CLOs are we targeting for this assignment. So we just have to just select which CLOs, okay, and then click on save, then save and close. Okay. So assuming that we are already like grading the student. Okay.
So side note to a Dropbox. Dropbox is probably one of those, probably the only assessment type that allows you to grade something with no submission. So for example, if in a quiz, there's no way you can do this because the student must submit something. In the Dropbox, it is doable you set up your Dropbox, even if the student has not submitted something, but you've observed on paper, they submitted on paper or something, you can record it on the Dropbox. So in this case, once you have your Dropbox for writing assignment set up, you can go here and just go straight away to view submissions and evaluate the student submissions. So from here, you can go to evaluation. Yeah.
And then from here, you could mark the split work, so you can see there the overall grade on the right portion of the screen.
And also you can give feedback to the student.
Correct, yes. So feedback, you can have like feedback. And then the score, so how does it actually like match to the achievement skill that we talked about earlier? So yeah, so you have it here. So you could actually like say, if it's 95, so we already know it's excellent, right? Yeah.
So in this case, it doesn't react to the score. In the rubric later on, when it reacts to that score. So if it was 95, we'll figure out that it's excellent. This is a
Manual, the
manual.
manual way.
So this is the manual way.
So far, the D2L shells that we have set up, we just made the categories, the items. So now, if we wanted to do this, we would have to go back, make a Dropbox link in order to do this? Or is there a way to just get this to the categories and items that we've made? Because we've already done that, you know?
So in this case, we're doing it retroactively. The only way so you have a grade in there already.
Yeah, because
So
manual, we
we
graded
can
it, put it
we
there.
can set up a CLO there, and
Yeah.
once you set up the CLO, you'd still need to select the outcome there at the bottom.
Okay.
Um,
So we'd have to do this again, like make the Dropbox and
no, no,
make
no. You can
okay.
edit the Dropbox, assign it to
Okay.
the CLO, but then you'll still need to do that last portion. You have a score already.
Yeah, yeah.
You need to do this, the one at the bottom, achievement skill.
Right, okay.
Sorry, this is available in D2L now?
Yes. But you need to set up learning outcomes, sir. You have to set up before, because you can't connect it to any learning outcome if there's no learning outcome that's been imported into your course.
So where we set the non-learning outcomes?
Okay.
So later.
We'll repeat that, sir, in a while. Just let me
So
finish.
let's just like finish like the process for this.
Will you
one.
share the slides later?
It'll be a
This is
video, sir.
recorded.
It's
Yeah,
recorded.
this is recorded.
Yeah. So you want to do a second one?
Is that rating scale connected to the grade book for the students? So like if South Sciences has a different pass mark.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. So you can actually
We can
customize.
we can make
add
we can make another one. Yeah.
So this is the default that we showed you earlier. Yeah. So
I'll make a 60.
just like mark a few students here. Here.
70 is good, no?
70.
Okay, so we'll make a multicolored one. One for each one, yeah? Should be good.
Okay. So once we're done, so we can now go to the grades. And then again, so let's go to the master review.
There you go.
And from here, you can see the result.
So in this case, what it's saying is, for each of those levels that we have one student going into each category. Yeah. One the achievement scale. Yeah.
Can the students see how well they did in each CLO?
Yes. So from a student perspective, sir, if they went to class progress, they can see this, and they click on learning outcomes. They can see like how well they're doing per CLO, and then if they click here, they know which particular assessment that CLO is tagged to. Okay. So you want to recap first for this?
Yeah, excuse me, I just have one question, please.
Yes.
For Dropbox, is there a way we can activate like on browser?
In a Dropbox?
Yeah, because we want to monitor like students around using
like when writing a paper or assignment, they're not using like.
So if you're worried about is that AI? Is that an AI problem or?
Yeah, like just not using the internet.
They don't have the matter always. No,
So for Dropbox, normally what you turn on is something called Turn It In. So what that does is it scans your student's paper against all submissions.
Yeah, I
And
understand
AI.
that part. I'm
And
asking
AI.
about, for example, in a quiz, we can activate the lockdown browser, and student will not be able to have access to the internet.
Yes.
That's
But
okay.
most-
That's only for.
That's only for a
I don't
quiz.
think that's for a written.
It's
quiz.
not for.
If for a multiple choice quiz, I think that's the only thing. It would-
Yeah, but I'm asking, like, is there a
For a
way you can
Dropbox,
act-
no.
No.
What you can do is set it as a quiz, upload them to answer in that.
And then they type in. Yeah. So you can be set up as a quiz. You go lockdown browser and then you expect a written response item. So you can do that too.
Yeah, but the thing is that we want them to download the document, for example, research notes.
Yes.
And then work on the research notes to write an essay.
Yeah.
So if we
Because they're in a quiz. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That case, that's
yeah, that's the only.
We'll take that offline, sir. You've got a lot of complicated restrictions there. We'll sort it out later. Yeah. Okay. So we'll go through key steps again for that one, setting up your Dropbox this particular
So
week.
you can see here, so a recap of like the steps that we did just now for the second demo. So again, so you have to make sure that you have imported like the CLOs in your course. You have to set up your assignment Dropbox folders. Then after that, you have to tag, the CLO to the assignment. And then when you evaluate, like, your student work, so you have to actually indicate the score and the achievement scale. And then from there, you will be able to view the grades, right, of the student, the result. Yeah.
Okay.
So for the next one, so Angelo will show you how we can actually like add the CLOs to, let's say, a rubric.
Okay. So this particular one will probably give students a lot more feedback, but it's also probably the situation where it's a lot of work for you too. So you need to balance those things out, Okay, so the first step for us to set it up this way. So again, we're doing Dropbox, but in this particular case, we're using a rubric with the Dropbox. So the first thing that we need to establish is setting up a rubric. So you do that under Course Tools and Rubrics. So if somebody has set up a rubric for you, then that's great. If not, then you need to set up a new rubric. Okay, it will look like this. You put up your criteria here, you set up your levels, and basically after you're done with setting this up, when you're filling it out on a per student basis, it's adding up the totals as you are marking the individual criteria. Okay, I will close this and go to a pre-prepared rubric for speaking that we've set up for foundation. So this is not it's just not a normal rubric, not a problem. But so what we're gonna do now is for this particular set of criteria, we need to link it to outcomes. It behaves the same way as what we experienced a while ago with quizzes. Depending on the number of questions that you're tagging to that learning outcome, that's how it's computing these things. So if you're having a criteria like this, and you only have one criteria set up for CLO 1, for example, in that assessment, and the person fails there, then that possibly drags them down in terms of CLOs. Not exactly for grades. CLO-wise, that's potentially catastrophic for them.
That will make everything absolute.
Hmm?
Because if this test scores 50%, let's say this is the final
Yes.
submission, or 50%.
No,
Yes.
the outcome is not the mark of the student.
No, I'm not talking about the mark of the student.
The mark of the student is what determines whether they
I'm
pass the
talking
course.
about me having quiz one with 100 multiple choice questions.
Yes.
And there is 50 of those for certain CLO. While
Right.
the final is about CLO 5,
Yes.
which is one final for them.
Okay.
And if the student gets no grade in that, the whole CLO will get that.
So if it was an assessment with the entire one is CLO 5, that's highly unlikely that they're gonna get pulled down because of having a situation where most of them are CLO5. It becomes problematic when you've got 90% of them CLO5 and you've got one question that says CLO6. That's what we're basically saying.
Yeah, but here in the Rolex you're talking about the Dropbox.
Yes.
Yeah, so technically, max speaking, if the Dropbox worth 30%,
Yes.
and we have another quiz that have 30 questions for the same CLO,
Yes.
the math doesn't add up at that. The numbers will not be real.
The numbers are so.
So the
What?
numbers should be related to the grade.
Okay, sir. So what you're saying is, you're mixing up two things. Marks are one thing. CLO attainments are another thing.
But what I'm saying is, if I ask a student 3 questions, each question is 1 mark.
Yes.
But while I'm asking 3 questions, each question is 10 mark.
Yes.
The CLO should reflect not based on the 6 number, it should be based on the 36 total.
That's not how this thing computes.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
if I am evaluating it, these numbers will not be real.
That depends how you're setting up your assessment, sir.
Yeah, but
So-
I have set up a system, break it into too many questions to make it fair, or make it too many big questions to make it fair.
So the logic here is it makes more sense if your particular assessments, like unit exams or unit tests, for example, focus on one particular assessment. In each case, then it's a fair check of that particular CLO. When you're mixing a lot of things and you're just doing one question for each, we're just saying that might be potentially problematic when you're setting it up this way.
Because for us, we have with midterms, it's just about 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Then it's 4 or 5 chapters.
Uh-huh.
We cover 2, 3 or CLO.
Yeah.
So it's never one test for one CLO.
Yeah. So I mean, if you have 5, so what I'm saying is, if you had 5 questions for one CLO, that's fine. But 5. But if you suddenly have just one for one of those CLOs, then that's a problem. That's what I'm saying. It's not a problem of you mixing. It's a problem of like there's a skew to a certain CLO over the others. That tends to, I think it's a potentially problematic. Okay, so let me refocus, please. On this side, let me just assign the criteria to an outcome. This is for speaking, yeah? Let me just go. So I'm going to go CLO3 for all of this. Okay. Sorry? I beg your indulgence on this one. Demo only. Okay, so the other thing that I did change for this particular rubric is a while ago we had the level of achievement. What I'm trying to match, this is generally supposed to be just 4 levels. Let me pull that up. I've shifted it so that it matches your level of achievement on the other side. Let me do that here. So what I mean by that is a general rubric normally just has 4 settings, 4 levels, and I don't want to follow that. That's what this looks like when you pick, like a default. This is what it will look like. What might be interesting for you to do at the end, which is an overall score for this rubric, is for you to match the scoring that we had for the achievement scale. So in which case, if this was 20 points and 90 points would have been excellent, then I'm doing a computation and saying, well, then instead of level 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm going to set it to excellent, very good, good, so that we're comparing apples to apples in terms of the achievement scales, if that makes sense. So I'll close this. And then, so I'm using the speaking rubric over here. And then I will go to assessments and go to Dropbox. Okay, so here I'm going to this particular Dropbox. I will go to edit folder and apply the rubric for this particular Dropbox. So let's say this is worth was 20 points, yeah. And then for submission and completion, I would set up a rubric under evaluation. I will add existing and point it to the speaking rubric a while ago. Okay, and then, sorry? No, you don't need to do that because the rubric will do it. So after that, you just click on save and close, and then I will make sure that it's visible to the student. They will go through, let's make it visible. Okay, so now I need to, again, they're giving you a presentation and then we can mark them straight away. So I'll go to evaluation. And unlike a while ago where we can just key in a mark and then select achievement scale, what you actually need to do here, which is a bit more tedious, is you're actually, you have the different descriptions for each level, and you would tick which particular level they're achieving. If you go here, at the end it adds up the total score for you here. It gives you an overall score here based on, you remember that scale that we built a while ago? So that's computing that setting for you at a very good level automatically. And then it sets it to very good for this particular outcome. I'll publish. And so that settles it for this particular rubric. Okay, so if we now go to your gradebook, you should see something for CLO3. Let's refresh. So we've got the student's result over here. Okay, so the rubric is a bit more, it gives more detailed information to the student. Why am I receiving this grade? It breaks it down, on a per criteria basis. So that gives them a lot more information. But it's also more, it's more onerous on you because then you are explaining basically why they're receiving that kind of mark for each one.
Is this must review applicable to communication discussion?
Sorry.
Communication discussion, is the must review also applicable to that?
For discussions.
Yeah, also you can do it for discussion.
For discussion. The other ones I'm not sure, but for sure discussion.
The same procedure.
Yes. So basically, we need to connect the discussion to learning outcome. Yes. So for the benefit of the gentleman on the right, so the learning outcomes are, we need to import them before we can start all of these things. The learning outcomes need to be in place. Course, we basically go to course tools, edit course. We go to learning outcomes. Or normally you wouldn't go here. It's so embedded. You normally wouldn't even go there. So course tools, edit course, learning outcomes. And then you would import the learning outcomes by going import outcomes. Import from outcome set. You go look for your particular college and your course. Okay. And then import. That's it.
Sorry, Angelo, we
Yes.
have another.
Okay,
session.
okay. Thank you, ma'am. Sorry. Thank you so much.
Angelo, was there attendance? I think.
Okay, if you haven't taken attendance, please scan the QR code.
So adding new CLOs. So let's say a course is not created yet, and it's a new course, and we want to add the CLOs. So I should go to the same place to add it, or?
No, that means that it's never been offered before.
It's never been offered before.
I need the syllabus, then I can set it up.
Okay. So we need to give the syllabus to AEL so they can set it up.
But so on a normal basis.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you. Just one more question. So if it's oral exam, we can record it with D2L or like directly while they are passing their oral exam?
You can.